Welcome back. Josh Taylor, Paul Zeise on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Steelers still at work at training camp. You're looking at some video there of Mike Hilton. He's one of the players in this Steelers defensive backfield. It's going to be a pretty veteran group coming into this season. He talked today about how he feels about this unit. Of course, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden, both Pro Bowlers. Fitzpatrick was an All-Pro last season. They're the guys out in front. But then you got guys like Hilton, who's a playmaker in the slot position. Also, you have Terrell Edmonds coming back in his, I believe that's his fourth season on this defense. So you have a lot of talent here, not to mention Steven Nelson. Paul, I got to ask you this question. When you're looking at this defense, for me personally, I feel like the defensive backfield is the strength of this defense. But just how good could this defense be if this group stays healthy and produces the way we could expect it to?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think, the biggest thing with that is you look at the corners that they have. I mean, remember last year, Josh, when they picked up Steven Nelson, and, there was a bunch of people saying how, he's part of a terrible secondary in Kansas City, and he's, one of the worst players by Pro Football Focus rankings and all that other stuff. We don't talk enough about how good he was last year.
Totally agree.
But he had a really good season for them last year, and he was one of their most consistent players on either side of the ball. Joe Hayden is Joe Hayden, obviously, and then Minkah Fitzpatrick. I mean, if you look at this secondary, I agree with you, Josh. It has a chance to be really good. I think if they stay healthy in the front seven, with that secondary, with Minkah Fitzpatrick sort of playing his position back there, this defense has a chance to be really good again.
Absolutely. Let's go to the phone lines. We'll start with Alex in Mount Lebanon. Alex, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hi, how are you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. Who do you think will be the Steelers' best player on defense?
Well, let's keep that discussion going. I got to think for a second here. We just talked about this defensive backfield. Paul, who you got for the best defensive player on this unit?
On defense, I mean, I think it's hard not to pick T.J. Watt. I mean, I think, obviously Minkah Fitzpatrick's really good. But if you're talking about the best player on defense, I mean, last year it was probably Watt. And he's considered a guy that might, he was in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. So I think you have to go with him, don't you?
I want to, just because it's the answer I would probably come up with by default. I would say he probably has to be the best player in this unit going into the season if this defense is going to make some noise, whether from a production standpoint or just a general disruption standpoint, because he's grown so much as a pass rusher in each of the last 3 years. And that's one guy I continue to harp on, that if this guy continues to develop, he'll be a machine, and that's what he's become. I'll go Minkah Fitzpatrick just to split it up and keep it, not to make it a total sweep for T.J. Watt. But I think T.J. Watt probably is the guy that becomes, the most, I would say, the most heralded and the most focused upon guy on this defense going into the season. Let's go to Pete in Squirrel Hill. Pete, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hey, guys, how are you tonight?
Good, how are you, Pete?
Hey, Paul, first thing, I'm with you, buddy. Last night, you and Rich, Josh Bell's 28 years old. He'll never be more than an average baseball player. His total talent package is really suspect. But what I'm calling about tonight is, the other night, Rich Walsh and Chris Miller were on, talking about 2023, maybe 2024, about the Pirates getting back to being competitive. Were they talking about getting back to maybe winning 80 or 82 games? I mean, are really challenging. Because, Josh, Paul, when you look at the National League, the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Padres, the talent on the field they put out there every night in the age of their core stars, and then what they have in a pipeline waiting to come up, 8 to 10 years, the Pirates do not have a chance. That's just the way it is. Thanks.
I would definitely agree with you on the Dodgers. The Padres might be the most fun team to watch right now. I love watching San Diego. I stay up a lot of nights watching some West Coast games in San Diego. That team's exciting. They got some really great young talent. The Brewers I'm not so sold on because I'm still trying to figure out where their pitching's coming from, because they've been trying to figure that out for a decade, or pretty much since CC Sabathia left.
Did he say that? Did he say the Brewers or the Braves?
If it's the Braves, then absolutely. If it's the Braves,
he said
without
the Braves.
question.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah,
they got great talent now. They got great talent on the way. Totally agree with it. All three of those teams are fun to watch. Now, here's the thing that I look at when you're talking 2023 and 2024. The big, just for me, Paul, the big variable in that equation needed to be this year's draft. You needed to see a full draft class where Ben Cherington can really get some good talent come in. And granted, he's probably gotten a couple guys out of that draft that might be useful down the road. But I think in order to really think that far ahead, getting a full draft class would have been a big part of that. But I'm not so sure now.
Right. I mean, I think, again, we've talked a lot of the different ways about how difficult it's been for Cherington and company, this being their first year and all the things that have gone against them, from the pandemic and everything down. That's one of them, is that there was, 5 rounds, I think, of the draft. And then after that, it was sort of go out and bid for guys and try and get as many as you can. That's not ideal when you're trying to build a program or an organization. I'm sorry.
Not at all, especially when you're a guy that has the kind of reputation that he does of building an organization through homegrown talent. That's something he's made his mark on. He's done it through Boston, and he did it through Toronto. It's just something that he's really believed a lot in, and granted, it's something that Theo Epstein did too during his time when Cherington was underneath Theo Epstein in Boston. So there's that too. In the meantime, let's go to Steve on the north side. Steve, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hey, Paul and Josh, how you doing, my family?
Good, how are you?
Hey, listen, real quick, not to get off the Steelers, but I just had a question about the whole situation with the Gerard Dyson trade with the Pirates, okay? Now, I'm glad he's gone. Wherever he's gone, I would have drove him there. But, I mean, I understand cast considerations with certain teams when they trade players, but what in the blue hell is an international bonus money? Can you explain that to me?
Yes, I can. Basically what it is, it's money that goes towards the team to put towards signing international talent. So it allows them to do that because if you remember, Major League Baseball has changed some of the rules regarding that over the years. So now they're starting to really try to, slot everything and be a little bit more judicious in how those things go. And that helps the Pirates as far as trying to acquire international talent. Probably not something that sounds very helpful right now, but then again, you moved a piece that wasn't very helpful for your team, so it's not like you're going to get a lot in return. So that makes it kind of complicated. But Paul, as far as, actually, no, we'll take a break here and we come back. We'll talk about the ramifications from that, and maybe we'll try to squeeze in a couple more things before we wrap up. Stick around.